Alright, wanted to make a video here about using VirtualBox. So if you're living on a Windows system or in some cases iOS, not everything that you'd like to do in Linux works the same way under WSL or iOS. So one option is to install VirtualBox and put a Linux system on your current system. So a few details to worry about. So VirtualBox download, go to downloads. First thing is version 7 seems to have some issues, at least for me, with trying to do some of the things we want to do. So make sure you're on virtualbox.org, and you can go to older builds, and version 6.1 seems to work really well. So click through on that and download it for whatever your favorite operating system is, and follow the instructions. And I've already done this and installed it actually, so let me go ahead and run VirtualBox, and what I'll show you here is how to install a new Linux system. So I've already done this, but pretend I didn't, right? So you've just got a bare VirtualBox. How do we put Linux on top of it? So let's go ahead and say new, and I'll call this Linux demo, and I'm going to leave this as default 64-bit Linux and say next. Give yourself a bunch of memory, so I don't know, 6 gig is fine. Let's create a virtual hard disk, and mostly taking defaults. For disk size, I'm going to make this big. It's not going to use the space unless I actually need it. It'll allocate it as needed, so I can make it larger than I might need, and say create. And then I'm going to say start. And this is where it's going to ask me for my my image. So again, go ahead and Google XUbuntu download. Make sure you're on XUbuntu.org. And we're going to go for version 22.04. And you can download it from a mirror site or a torrent. And you want the ISO file. So in this case, XUbuntu 22.04, blah 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 .iso is the one that we want. And I've already done that, and so let's go ahead and just point it to wherever your ISO is, which for me is under a temp file area, and say choose, and then go ahead and say start. Alright, so this is booting up a virtual machine that looks like it has an installation CD for Linux in it, and it'll go through the usual Linux installation steps. So I'm going to skip over those because it's all just, what's your time zone, what's your username, and so on. What I will tell you though is when it asks for a username and a password, make sure you pick real things. Don't just, type in gibberish, because you'll want to use your password when you try to do super user things. And I forgot, when you first install this, it'll bring up a quick Linux system, and then it'll ask you if you want to make it permanent. That's to let you test it out, make sure that it works, and so on. So we're just going to go ahead, once it gives us the option to install Linux, to go ahead and do that. And I'm sitting inside a virtual machine here, right? And that's important. So I'm not going to bother trying it. I'm just going to say install XUbuntu. We'll go with an English keyboard. I'm going to do third-party drivers, normal installation. I guess I am going to go through some of this here, but you can fast forward. I'll pause the video when it gets to the actual waiting for the installation to happen. Okay, erase disk and install XUbuntu. I'll say install now. And so it's going to repartition some things. Now it's really important that I'm doing this inside a virtual machine. If I do this on my laptop, it would be reformatting my laptop's hard drive. That's not what I want to do, but I'm in this, you know, virtual system, so it's this virtual drive that's going to get reformatted. And pick a time zone. And then go ahead and make sure you put in a real password. And I'm going to say login automatically, so I don't have to keep typing it, and continue. And now it's just a big long wait for it to download, install, update, all of that kind of stuff. So I'll pause the video here and come back when we're ready for the next set of questions.